Welcome back, WoobatWarriors, to the next exciting review on the channel. I'm your host, the Honest Woobat! Last time we reviewed Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back. This time we're going to be reviewing Pokemon 2000, The Power of One, or Revelation Lugia in the Japanese version. Without further ado, let's get started. So Pokemon 2000 follows Ash and Co. as they travel through the Orange Islands, wherein a powerful storm erupts after Lawrence III begins hunting down the legendary birds. He immediately catches Moltres and moves on to capture Zapdos. Wherein Ash and Co. are brought to an island where they bring out the prophecy of the Chosen One, who, as they repeatedly say, once they bring together all three treasures, will be able to call upon the Guardian of the Sea, Lugia. Lawrence III, once Ash sets out to get those treasures, naively believing it to just be a simple ceremony that's just done for tradition. Even the islanders themselves don't really believe in it. Lawrence III manages to awaken Zapdos and manages to irritate it enough to the point where it begins trashing Fire Island, where Moltres originally was. After Lawrence III manages to capture Zapdos, he captures the group as well. From there on out, it's a race against time as Articuno then arrives, and the battle between the three legendary birds erupts, destroying the islands around them and causing the ocean to freeze over. Once Ash and Co. arrive at the island where a Slowking is waiting, the Slowking, who really needs a pair of pants, by the way, reveals to him that the prophecy was really talking about Ash through the line of, "And the world shall turn to ash." From there on out, Ash has to collect the remaining treasures in order to prevent the end of the world, as we find out from an explanation from Professor Oak on a helicopter, who explains that the three legendary birds control the ocean's currents. From there on out, Lugia arrives to try and quell the fighting between the birds and provides a beautiful animation and distraction for the birds to keep them off of Ash. Ash manages to retrieve the last treasure. However, in the ensuing battle, Lugia manages to give Ash a ride, but the legendary birds manage to shoot Lugia down. Then Lawrence III tries one more time to capture Lugia, who is his real ambition, because as he states earlier, he's a collector, and his whole purpose was to collect the legendary Pokemon in order to display them in his little museum that he has going on. It's unclear as to whether or not the information in the pamphlet where it talks about his mother had passed away was irrelevant or not, because they never actually mention her in the movie in either version. However, Lawrence III manages to force Lugia underwater after electricity from the nets that he was using causes Lugia to collapse and exhaustion. After Ash is saved by Misty and Tracy, who pulls him back onto the water, he manages to give the last of the jewels into the display cases where the other jewels were waiting. Melody, a girl they had met earlier in the film, plays on the seashell ocarina the song that revitalizes Lugia's strength. And with that, Lugia is able to quell the fighting between the three legendary birds. From there on, with that, order is restored, the world is saved, and Ash goes on to continue his journey. As there's a giant water vortex over the skies, every Pokemon that had arrived from the mainland returns home. Positives. Now, positives to this film. The animation, once again, is beautiful. It looks like they used the leftover animation budget from the first movie into the first little part where we see Moltres getting captured. The scale is set a lot higher. This is the first Pokemon movie where the main antagonists, in terms of being directly involved with causing environmental damage, are the legendary birds. And it's nice to see Lugia being involved a lot more heavily than his counterpart Ho, who doesn't get its own solo film until Pokemon I Choose You. Even then it has to share with Marshadow. The Chosen One storyline is, I feel it's done pretty okay in this movie. The movie itself is really well paced, I would say. The villain does enough to cause the plot to move along. Ash is in full effect here as he goes on trying to complete his role in the prophecy. And on top of that, the stakes are the highest they've ever been in the franchise up to this point. Negatives. Now, negatives I can say for this film, honestly, after I summarize what happened, there's a lot less going on here than what happened in the Mewtwo Strikes Back film. With Mewtwo Strikes Back, I spent a long time analyzing what happened. Meanwhile, here with the summary, it's basically Ash shows up, hears prophecy, goes free birds, Kidnapper takes birds. Birds are freed. Birds fight. Lugia shows up. Lugia gets bodied. Then Lugia comes back, stops the fighting, and they leave. If you want to break it down to summary, which does a great disservice to the film. The movie's strengths really lie in the musical score, especially this Blue Check City version, which I'm using for the background noise. The villain is kind of bland, I would say, at the start of a many trend, though not nearly as bland as the villain we see in Giratina and the Sky Warrior. However, it does a really solid entry. Overall, I give this movie a 7 out of 10. I had a good time watching this movie, and I'll gladly rewatch it any old time. That's gonna be it for the review for Pokemon 2000. Give it a watch. It's highly recommended for Pokemon fans who are here to have a good time. But if you're not, well then you can just give it a pass. Watch Mewtwo Strikes Back. Anyways, that's it for this review. See you guys next time when we are enchanted with the Spell of the Unknown.